Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am your host. And joining me this week are my go-to podcast compadres, Mr. Joe Lever.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this week's Critical Podcast. My name is Joe Lever.
Well, that's dang. And my other go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Levi Fletcher.
No. Not following that up.
Perfect. Exactly. A little bit of spice and a little bit of ice. Oh, it's very good. And thank you, boys, for being here. I always love having a full panel. And thanks everybody for watching and listening in. We like talking about everything in pop culture, but as you guys would guess, we're going to talk a little bit more about Marvel this week. Now, we're not going to do Avengers Endgame spoilers right now. We did that kind of last week, but Joe's going to get his shot at Timekillers. Timestamps down below if you still haven't seen it yet, which would be kind of remarkable because it's past $2 billion at the box office, meaning it has now surpassed Titanic. It was like $2.02 billion or something, and it's catching up to Avatar, which is pretty nuts for like all-time gross. Now, I'm going to say something about that too. First off, Avatar, it was an unknown IP, so nobody kind of like, it came out of nowhere and it still did that well. But also it was a 3D experience, so it was more expensive for movie tickets. I remember seeing it.
First 3D experience.
Was it the first 3D experience?
Yeah, public theater.
Okay, I remember going to pay for a matinee at $15 and thinking that was outrageous back in the day. And I was sitting by myself in the theater and I was like, this is stupid. There's like 3 times in the movie that it paid off. But I knew a lot of people who kind of fell into that Titanic mindset where they saw it like 2 or 3 or 4 times. And I think that's why people were just kind of blown away by it. But I think it's really cool. I think I'm obviously like, it's Marvel. I don't like have a financial stake in, but it's nice to see them get rewarded for so many years of build up and kind of paying off in that way. But we're going to talk about Marvel stuff today. And again, there will be information, like if we say the spoilers are on, we will let you know. But I do want to start with something that I'm really excited about that I was like, I'm not really like, I'll see how it goes. Spider-Man Far From Home, a new trailer came out. And at the beginning, kind of, and this will kind of be probably Avengers spoilers a little, but they even say in the trailer, they're like, hey, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, don't watch this trailer. Like Tom Holland's like, don't do it. And I was like, that's kind of cool for Sony, you know, and maybe Disney was like, hey, like, get Tom to say this. Like, like, don't ruin this for us. But there's some spoilers for Endgame in there. But I kind of want to talk about like the other plot stuff in there besides the big Avengers Endgame spoiler that's within it. But you guys, I want to talk to you first. Levi, I know that you know you kind of like Spider-Man like I do, and obviously Joe does as well. But we had a good time watching Homecoming. I remember those years ago. We're kind of like, it was just like a fun, breezy movie. Do you feel that way about this one too, or do you feel like it's actually like kind of bigger in a lot of ways than Homecoming was?
This feels more of like a continuation for me, more of like a build on of what I already love.
Sure. Is that what's that you love? Is it the comedy, the cast?
Yeah, I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I like the cast. I like that they kind of went out of left field for Mary Jane and like that actress, and
yeah,
they're trying a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think they still have room to do like an actual Mary Jane because I forget what her name is.
MJ.
It's MJ, but it's like it's not Mary Jane. It's like something else. I can look it up here, but I remember that kind of being like a reveal at the end of Homecoming. It's like, oh, it's actually Mary Jane. But I do like her evolution in this one because there is that moment where I think it was in the first trailer where Peter's like, oh, you look pretty, and she's like, oh, just because I'm pretty, that means I'm like validated or whatever. And he's like, and she's like, no, I'm just kidding, and you're pretty too. And it's just like, that's kind of a fun like back and forth. And they actually look like high schoolers, which is nice because if you go back to the original Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man, it's like a bunch of 35-year-olds hanging out in a high school, and there's like, yeah, I got algebra. I'm in 10th grade. I'm like, I don't believe you for a second. They're like, yeah, I'm just working on my 401k. Mysterio, though, I think that's kind of the big thing, the big takeaway from this one. Spider-Man working with Mysterio and S.H.I.E.L.D. all together. Joe, for you, I know we're still we don't know all that we know about Mysterio. We've known about him in the past. How do you feel about him? Do you like the look? Do you like Jake Gyllenhaal?
Sure. I know nothing about
him. That's good. I know we've kind of talked about him in the past being kind of like this special effects guy, and maybe he doesn't have all these magical powers, but it kind of looks like he does, unless everything is a special effect, because he's known to be a villain. in other Spider-Man stuff, he's known to like have illusions that fight him, and he can make it look kind of like Syndrome from Incredibles, where it's like he made a robot to fight himself and he beat up that robot. So would you prefer Mysterio, Joe, to have actual magic or be a full-on huckster and like all the things he fights are actually illusions that he himself has created?
A huckster, a trickster,
Yeah,
trickster. Sure.
Yeah, you prefer that? You like that
Yeah,
one
I
better?
mean, I guess a plot twist. I guess I like.
Sure. Yeah, because I know you're not as much into the magical stuff as like I know Levi loves good old Doctor Strange, and I get some Doctor Strange vibes from like his kind of like he does like the shield and stuff. And
I mean,
kind
if there's an explanation behind it, sure.
sure, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess the big question for you guys that I have too, he does say he's from another world, which could be a lie. First off, the other thing I like to think is that Sony just pulled a fast one on Marvel and didn't tell them. And they're just, it's kind of like the 8 years later that they had a problem with in the first one that kind of screwed up the timeline. It's like, Sony's like, there's going to be a multiverse. And Kevin Feige's like, there's going to be what? They're like, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. But I know, like we were talking about this beforehand, Levi, you seemed pro multiverse, and Joe, you seemed anti multiverse. So like multiple universes and stuff. Levi, why are you excited about that?
Well, this was bound to happen. I mean, there's been multiple multiverses in the comics, so we knew this was coming. And now that it's here, what a better way to introduce it than like the snap making sense?
Sure, yeah, because they do say like the snap, one of the snaps caused that, and we're not exactly sure like what happened there. But yeah, I guess I didn't think it was coming. I thought that was kind of the whole point. Marvel was like, we have this very stringent timeline and we're never going to deviate off it. But after Endgame, I do feel kind of, in a way, again, this isn't really a spoiler, but like the stuff that happens in that and talking about branching, timelines and things, I guess it's on the table now, which is kind of crazy. Joe, you seem kind of against it. Like you're like, I'm out. It's too much.
Oh, it's kind of like the whole time travel thing for me. It's like it starts to get wonky and confusing. Like for Endgame, yeah, okay, it was kind of cool, and it was the only way anything was going to work out in any fashion. But, okay, so now anytime there's some sort of problem, are they just going to keep going back in time every time to try and...
Yeah, that's the tricky part with that. Like you have to I feel like you kind of have to take that away. But apparently in the comics, they have time machines that they don't use constantly. But at the same time, it does kind of feel like you can mitigate any stakes if you're like, oh,
they only had so many pin particles. So I don't think they're going to be able to go and do everything they did in Avengers again.
Yeah, but they've got like the guy who can make them back. Right. Sorry, Avengers Endgame spoilers. Yeah. But the multiverse thing, I think, scares a lot of people and excites a lot of people because you could bring in somebody like Miles Morales from like a different Spider-Man, even though they've kind of hinted towards him as like his uncle in Spider-Man Homecoming. The thing that scares me is like at any time they could pull in a different Captain America or a different Hulk or something, which could be cool or could be bad. But if you ever have a problem with one of those characters in this timeline, it's just like, well, we could just get another one, like just pull them out of another multiverse, right? Like that kind of...
Yeah, it's like that's what I want is I want a bunch of the same character, but they're slightly different. It's just going to be witty banter between the two. Oh, your aunt does that too, huh? Yeah, man, PB&J without the crust all the time.
Dang, where did you get that from? That was good, man. I think there's potential in it, and so far they haven't screwed this up. Again, I always just look back to like Guardians of the Galaxy as being like the litmus test for what I will believe in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the fact that they pulled that off at all, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna let you go for it. You know what? We'll give it a shot. But I think there's hopefully cool potential in it, and bringing some of villains back or introducing some new ones that might not have been on this Earth. I just don't think there was ever a time in the MCU so far for me that they were like, all right, this is the cutoff. We're not going to go any crazier than this, but from another world, it could be crazy. Like we already have like Dormammu from Doctor Strange, which I feel like is pretty insane, or like the Infinity Stones. Like that's kind of a pretty crazy concept. So at this point, I'm like, I don't really need to have multiple universes to have that. But if they do it properly, it could be cool. It could be sweet. I just give me Ghost Rider. I don't care how you do it. You pull him from another multiverse. I don't care. Just pull him in. I don't care.
Would be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. A lot of people are wondering if this is going to be tied into the Disney like Plus stuff. Like maybe this is what those stories are going to be. I don't know if they're going to fall into the MCU timeline, like with Black Widow and stuff. If her movie's going to be a prequel or if it's going to be a completely different Black Widow, but Scarlett Johansson's still playing her.
Is that confirmed? Is there really going to be a standalone for her?
She's getting a standalone. Yes, she is. Which honestly, I know that I've been down and against for a long time, just because it's like if Hawkeye got his own standalone movie. He's getting a TV show, but I just remember thinking like, I'm not as compelled by her. But after Endgame, I like Black Widow. I think Scarlett Johansson's a pretty good actor, and you know what? Screw it. She probably should have had one before Captain Marvel because she's like a founding Avengers member, and it's like, all right, we're finally getting to her movie. Like, it's taken long enough. Just make it. But yeah, I'm interested. But we always have to check the hypeometer. Levi, Spider-Man Far From Home. After this trailer, where are you? Are you feeling higher, lower? Where do you fall?
I'm pretty high.
Yeah,
pretty dang high. Yeah.
Pretty high. Okay, that's good. Like 9, 8.5.
I mean, this train has been good to me so far, so 10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, you're that excited?
I'm pretty excited for it.
Okay.
Because I'm excited to see where this is gonna go.
Sure. Joe, how about you?
Also, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah, I'll say I forgot to mention that Levi loves Jake Gyllenhaal. Levi, do you want to?
He's not a villain, so I mean,
why do you love him?
Because he's handsome. He's a good actor.
He's a very handsome man. I will agree with you. Yeah.
That's why they brought him to the MCU.
It's also weird to see S.H.I.E.L.D., like all these like people in this government agency who are working with these two, and they're like in a sewer, and there's a dude standing there with that outfit on working for S.H.I.E.L.D. now. It's like he's working with us, and it's like, okay.
Well, and then, so is he not always a villain?
Typically in the comics, and they could change this because like they don't have to be beholden to it, he's usually always a villain. I don't know if he's sometimes maybe an anti-hero. Most villains fall into that role eventually, or it's just like, oh, we're kind of helping out.
He's working with Spider-Man.
I still think that there's almost no way that he's not a villain for this.
Oh, like you think he's
pretending.
Like, I can pretend to use your help, and okay.
Yeah, and like trying to make it look like he's saving a bunch of people for whatever reason. But
wait, did we do a mono with Mysterio?
We didn't do one with him yet, but that would be a good one. I don't know who he'd fight from like other comics who has like illusions and stuff.
Who's the mimic guy? Like learn the fighting techniques.
Oh, that's Taskmaster. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are his powers? Are they like Doctor Strange powers, or
no? Typically in the past, maybe we didn't go over this. I thought we did, but Mysterio is this special effects guy. And he basically blames, I believe, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, I think it's Spider-Man, for ruining his career in special effects. So what he does is he uses those abilities in special effects to like make copies of himself or make like smoke and explosions and make it look like he's flying around, but he's actually not. So he doesn't really have powers. He just has like a suit with like tech in it that can make him look stronger and crazier. Again, kind of like Syndrome from Incredibles, where...
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like he's a trickster. That's the whole point. Because like if you find the real one, it's just him. It's just a dude. And I know there were storyboards for this, but Spider-Man 4, way back in the day, was going to have Bruce Campbell, the guy who showed up in all of those movies, to actually be Mysterio, and like Peter Parker or Spider-Man walking him in to like a fat Mysterio without the helmet into like the police station, and like turning him in, and he's like, I was Mysterio the whole time. I've just been following you your whole life, because he's a creep. But that's typically what he is. Not saying that they can't change him. I wouldn't mind it, honestly. I like magic wielders. I'm like, that's a cool. And he looks so comic accurate. Like, regardless of how you feel, the suit, I think, looks cool. And I can't believe they're going for it. And there's like a cult following for Mysterio. People love Mysterio. And I think they're going to add him to an eventual Sinister Six movie. Because we've had Vulture, who apparently Michael Keaton confirmed he's not going to be in this movie. And then Scorpion was in that one briefly. We kind of get Shocker in a few forms in Homecoming, but now we've got Mysterio. So we're looking at, a few others. You can have somebody like Kraven the Hunter, Dr. Octavius, like add a few more in there and you get your Sinister Six pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And that might be the third Spider-Man film. Like I could see that being like Spider-Man Venom, Joe, get this. On occasion, I believe Venom has teamed up with Spider-Man to fight the Sinister Six, which is a badass combination. Like, Spider-Man alone is pretty rough, but then you put someone who's like, hey, I've got all of his powers. I'm probably stronger than he is, and I have like no moral code. Like it's just like
I'm excited again. Yay!
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, I think like the Hobgoblin, who wasn't like I don't know if they'll do the Green Goblin, but like a guy who steals Green Goblin's tech and becomes the Hobgoblin has joined the Sinister Six. Plenty of people. Rhino has been in Sinister Six. Electro. So there's plenty of people they could pull on for this. I think they've left Rhino and Electro alone because Amazing Spider-Man 2 kind of ruined those characters for some people. So they're kind of like, we're gonna just step back from this one for a bit. So, and Green Goblin too. God dang, they got to make a better Green Goblin. Anyway, sorry, Joe. Hypometer, my friend. Where are you feeling with Spider-Man Far From Home?
At the moment, I like Tom Holland. I like Spider-Man. They did kind of revitalize the name. Does this look good? Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I give it like a 7, 6.5, 7.
Okay.
I'm not too sold on it. First of all, 5 years have passed since he burst in the dust. He's picking right back up at high school.
That's been a thing, and if anyone saw Infinity War, you know what? Fine. Spoilers for the rest of this for Endgame, so that way Joe can speak freely.
Yeah, that's why they warn you before watching this trailer. You have to see Endgame first. So.
Well, that and the Iron Man stuff, which is probably like right away. They're like Iron Man. It's like but yeah. So the thought was actually Peter, Ned, and I think most all their friends got snapped, and they all came back. So there's a group like Peter's grade. The people who lived like grew up, you know, they're probably like what 20, 21 or something now, but a lot of them, and they probably just kept that core cast because they're like, okay, we just want this group. So they're like, you all died, but you're all back. So that's the whole point. So they would go back to school from that grade and then move onwards
because they've been missing for 5 years.
Yep, exactly. So they wouldn't just go to, you know, being like, all right, you're an adult now, and it's like, no, I'm still it's just like, nope, that 5 years came and went. So yeah, I know it's a good question, Joe. People have been asking about that too. So all that cast, all those kids snapped. Now they're back. So kind of weird. One thing that people have been talking about is the reversal of the snap being like, oh, what if you had a significant other and you're like, and your other significant other who was dead came back, or like if you, you know, like all that stuff, or if you had one dog and now you've got 2 dogs, or you know, like all this stuff where it's like you thought these people were gone and then they're back, or these creatures were gone and now they're back. Think about the zoos. Like if anyone was keeping up a zoo and they're like, we got to get more polar bears. We only have like 1 now. And then there's like 6 polar bears that showed back up or something because it was like uneven. Oh my gosh. Anyway, ramifications. For me, I'm probably 8.5, 9 for this. I'm excited. The suits look really cool. I like the black suit Spider-Man, which is kind of like Spider-Man Noir, but it's like a stealth suit. And then also that other one.
Yeah, but is that one from a different multiverse or whatever?
No, that's most likely a S.H.I.E.L.D. one that they made for him, because when he goes on vacation, and in the beginning of this trailer, he's got the Iron Spider suit, and he's just whipping people. And then, which I love, because it's just like he has that suit on, and then he makes that joke with the cops where he's like, I'm too busy doing your jobs. And they're all like, whoa. And he's like, I'm just kidding. But he leaves that at home, and then Aunt May kind of forces him to bring his regular blue and red one. And we're guessing right now that Fury says like, hey man, you got to do the stealth mission for us, and the red and blue just is not going to cut it. And then later on we get the red and black one, which I've come around on. I think it looks really cool. There's a good chance that is probably one that Tony Stark made for him back in the day. So has all the kind of gadgets that suit he had in Homecoming had. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And he's got the little wings and stuff. I was like, yeah, bring the wings back. That's pretty cool. So yeah.
You know, if they advertise that insta kill mode will be used in this, I might be a little more into it.
Joe's like, say instant kill activated, and I'm back in the game. Like that's just his new catchphrase. He's like,
spoiler alert, when he did that in Endgame, I was like, all right, I'm back in. And I was all over it.
He's checked out until that moment, and Joe's like, wait a second, there's bloodshed. Bring it back. Yeah.
Slower, make it painful.
Yeah. But it sounds like we're all pretty excited about Spider-Man, and it's going to be the last movie in Marvel's Phase 3.
Which is weird. Why would they make that the last movie? Why not start a whole new phase with this?
So they did the same thing with Ant-Man, where they had him be the last one of Phase 2, I believe, where it's like Age of Ultron, and they're like, all right, kind of fun little movie. So I think they kind of like to end. And again, these are terms that we all know, but like they're never in the movies that they're like, oh, we're out of this phase and we're into this next phase, because they all just run together, right? But I wonder if it's just like an internal thing that just say, all right, we're going to end on kind of a fun movie, Like, it doesn't need to be super dire, because like for all of us, we'd be like, okay, Endgame is the end of Phase 3. And I think it'll make it harder for people in the future to criticize various phases, because like you'd say, like, well, obviously Phase 3 was the best phase of Marvel because it ends with Endgame, which is like the biggest thing ever, But now that's like, oh no, it ended with Spider-Man Far From Home, which I think will do really well. And I was watching a video about this, which Mr. Sunday Movies, thank you, he's super great. But he said Iron Man 3 made over $1 billion at the box office because it came off after Age of Ultron. Was it Age of Ultron? Yeah, I think it was that one. And it did super well. And I think Ant-Man was after that too, but it was kind of like one of the biggest ones after that. And that one probably didn't deserve $1 billion. So like Spider-Man will probably do super well because people are like, we want the next MCU thing, and just craving it. They just want to get more of it. So yeah, I think that's the reason why they're ending with
people that were on the fence for a new Spider-Man the first time around during Homecoming. I know a lot of people slept on Homecoming actually because they were kind of over Spider-Man. Like there's been so much of it. But I feel like now that he's like such a staple in the series, people are like, oh yeah, Spider-Man.
Yes, I think so too. Because I think a lot of us felt burned out after 5 Spider-Man films, and they rebooted him so quickly. Like it was like 5 years, they rebooted him twice or something, and it was just like, okay, like we're doing it again. But yeah, I think Homecoming, I think it's pretty good, and I think a lot of people like it. By the way, it's MJ is Michelle. I forget her last name, but her name was Michelle. So that's why nobody knew why she was like, when they called her, they're like, my friends called me MJ if I had any friends or whatever. And we're like, what? Like, you don't have to be Mary Jane. Like, but she's not Mary Jane. She's just MJ. Stupid, whatever. Anyway, I like Zendaya, by the way. I think she's good. I think she's good in this. All right. Well, yeah. Any other Far From Home thoughts before we move on, gentlemen? Anything else you want to say? Anything you're afraid about? Anything you think is stupid? Anything you think is amazing?
How is he going to keep maintaining? Maybe no more on the actual movie itself. I mean, I'm excited. I want to see what it's a small step down to the plateau before you hit that ramp back up, right? Something to keep you going through the dry desert between the next phase. But anywho, how is he going to keep his suit up the stuff? Both of them. Maybe the cloth one easier, but the Iron Spider, how's he going to keep that in good repair and the maintenance and all that? And Tony's gone.
I think he's still going to get a lot of support from Pepper Potts. Levi, do you think that too?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some smart people on the team now. Like, we've got Bruce Banner and other people that might be able to help repair Iron Man tech. So
it'd be super cool, and I probably won't do this for a while, but how cool would it be if he got to go, like, his flight home at the end of Far From Home got diverted, and he went to Wakanda, and there's, like, Shuri sitting there, and she's like, I have a new suit for you, and it's made of vibranium, and you should probably use it, because, like, we need a new Iron Man, and we're thinking, how about, like, a Vibranium Man? And he's gonna be like, that's not a good name, like, or something like that, like, it'd be... quick clarification, Iron Man 3 came after the Avengers, which Avengers, the first one, was in 2012, and it was the end of Phase 1. And Iron Man 3 did bonkers numbers in 2013 because
Even though
of
I didn't
Avengers.
think it was that great of a movie.
I don't think a lot of people did, and I think that's why it still made over $1 billion. They're just like, it's great, and they're like, yeah, there's a lot of just hanging out in Tennessee.
I'm rewatching all the Marvel movies again right now, and I just got through Iron Man 2, and I still like Iron Man 2.
I do as well.
I don't think it's that bad.
Some people don't like it, but
I think the villain's a little boring, but a lot of people like Justin Hammer. A lot of people want him to to come back, but he's kind of an idiot. Like, he makes not the best weapons.
He is an idiot, yeah.
I do love that scene where he's talking about all the weapons, though, and I just wish the ex-wife, that little missile or whatever, was, like, super good. Because, like, he gets that, like, machine gun or whatever, and he's, like, showing off all that stuff, and something about it, maybe it's just the American in me, who's just, like, I love just a weapon montage where someone's just, like, picking up a gun or picking up, like, a rocket launcher, and they're like, this is the la 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 la, it does la 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 la. I'm just like, go on. Like, interesting to me. I also thought that was...
Jericho missile.
Yep. Oh, dude, that's such a good... Oh, man, that Jericho missile. I love the laser, too, in Iron Man 2. That was, like, the first time that we get that red laser, and he tells, like, Rhodey to duck. He does that kind of spin around, and he takes out all the drones. And it's like, cool. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really neat. Yeah, big fan of that. Anyway, speaking about Marvel and all that
I
stuff,
like War Machine. Period.
I like War Machine too. Do you like Don Cheadle? Like Terrence Howard didn't get a chance to be War Machine. Do you like either or for
Don Cheadle's
Rhodey?
just fine.
Okay, yeah,
He's getting old though.
Yeah,
He
I
is.
think I would have preferred the first Howard, right? You said.
I just wish that guy could have stuck around because it would have meant so much more in Endgame to have these guys who started this to still be together. And then I kind of want a War Machine movie, but it seems like Don Cheadle or even James Rhodey, is not super into being War Machine all the time. Like he doesn't really enjoy it the same way. Like Iron Man always seemed to kind of have. He's kind of
I don't know. I think he enjoys it.
You think so? Okay, maybe he
Yeah,
does.
I think he does.
Yeah. Okay. I know in Age of Ultron, he's like bragging about like dropping a tank in front of a dictator,
Yeah.
and like the other Avengers are like, "Cool story, bro." But then he tells it to just like some random, so it's like civilians at the party, and they're all just like, "That's amazing," and he's like, "That's right. It's a good story." I want to see those stories. I would love to see a like Iron Patriot. I would love to see that, or like the War Machine, like being tasked by the government to show up to various battles and issues, and just being like, "Yep, this is our representative." It's freaking War Machine, like coming in to take out an army. I'd watch that movie. I'd be like,
So, a little note before our next subject or topic.
ooh, hit me.
Chadwick Boseman to play African samurai Yasuk in deal with Picture Start, DeLuca Productions, Solipsit, and Exception Content.
Is it like Yasuke? Is it YASUKE?
Fresh from playing the African Warrior King, Black Panther, and Avengers, yada yada, he's officially aligned himself to play Yasuk, the first African samurai to swing a sword in Japan.
Huh.
Oh,
Dude, I'm getting some Last Samurai vibes, which I love that movie, by the way. It's one of Tom Cruise's best.
I know he's also starring in a movie, 21 Bridges or whatever,
Okay.
that detective one. Looks like a really good movie, but Chadwick Boseman, man, catapulted, leaping forward like the Black Panther himself.
Dude, a lot of those guys, like, if you read the little articles about like what all of those actors are up to afterwards, there's just like full slates, and I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's what they love to do. But for me, like, if it were me, I would just be like, man, I was like Captain America or whatever, and I'd be like, I'm signing on for just Captain America stuff, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna live pretty cheaply because I realize that like, it's not the money's not always coming in, but I'd be showing up at conventions and stuff, and be like, yeah, what's up, guys? Like,
Yeah, just ride that wave because I don't know. Depends, they like it and all, I'm sure, but are they as into it as the fandom?
sure. And also, they're such good sports. Like doing those press tours and just sitting for 8 hours a day, getting asked the same questions again and again, and trying to make it fun. It's gotta be just so tiring. Just like, oh yeah, yep, here we go again. And you can tell when they get a question they've never gotten because they like light up and they're like, oh, and they're sitting with like a co-star and they're like, okay, this is fun. I love that sort of stuff. I've been watching a lot of like seeing Chris Hemsworth interact with people. That guy is he's a treat. He's just a straight up treat. Like he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Hiddleston
like
called him a real life superhero. I was like, well, look at that. That's a nice thing for you to say there, Mr. Hiddleston. By the way, Loki's a good dancer. Anyway, let's move into. We're still talking about Marvel and stuff, but I want to talk about where we're going next. This train's not stopping. This is not like if anyone thought this was stopping, you're crazy. Like, it's just not. It's not going to do that. These movies have made too much money, and if you look at some of them, you know that they're making a sequel. For instance, Black Panther. There is no way on this planet or any other planet or any multiverse that they wouldn't make it. It made over $1 billion. A lot of people saw it as this really big cultural thing, and they're making a sequel to that. Makes perfect sense to me, right? I know Doctor Strange 2 is in the works. That's what it sounds like too. So that one I'm not surprised about. And Captain Marvel also grossing over $1 billion, which I think, again, kind of riding the wave of being in between Infinity War and Endgame is like a really good place to put a solo movie because no matter what it's going to be, people are like, how does it tie in? Like, that's why I think a lot of people went out to see it. Not saying that people don't love Captain Marvel, but I think it just benefited from kind of having that.
How much did you say, man?
It made over $1 billion. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Marvel, man. They place it perfectly. So good on them. But my question for you guys, which one of these characters or which one of these franchises or whatever else do you just really want to see moving into phase 4 and beyond? Levi, I know you love Doctor Strange. I know he's coming, but is there anything specifically, maybe with him or without him, that you want to see?
Any characters that I want to see come up here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't want to see like Cyclops and Rogue and Storm?
Yeah,
come up here.
That is one.
I'm actually very excited to see who they're gonna pick to play Storm in the MCU.
Oh, why Storm?
I just love Storm. She's so underplayed; it pisses me off because I feel like she could be so much better. And you've seen like hints of Halle Berry do real cool stuff, but she always gets shafted in the movies.
Yeah, I remember her saying a while ago. She's like, if you guys want to see a Storm movie, you guys gotta like get out and like get together and make a loud enough noise for it to happen. Because she's like, I'd do it. But another cool thing about Storm, Levi, it's interesting that I bring her up. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, she can't just be defined by her romantic relationships. However, I think it's really cool that Storm was once married to T'Challa, to the Black Panther, and then she actually gets divorced from him. I think that'd be a really cool way to like tie these kind of disparate things where you have like Wakanda and stuff, and then the X-Men, which are kind of a United States-based team, and have them kind of merge together. Like that could be a cool conflict, or at least a cool kind of pairing, I think, in that.
It makes it more relatable and kind of helps it mesh in with what we already know.
Yeah, and I think that would be so cool. It might be hard because they kind of spent a little time in Black Panther kind of establishing this romance between T'Challa and I forget her name. I'm so sorry. Do you guys remember her name?
I don't remember her name.
Levi, can you help me out here? Black Panther's the lady that he liked.
Eliza Dushku?
Yep, that's it.
I don't know.
Oh, Nakia.
Nakia. She wasn't memorable enough.
Yeah, she's kind of like a freedom fighter who like doesn't want to stay in Wakanda, but he's like, you could stay in Wakanda and you could help me and you could be a good queen. I just don't know if she's going to stick around, but I think that's where it'd be really cool to meet Aurora Monroe and to have her, fall in love with T'Challa, and that'd be so cool. And it would be fun to have, if you do eventually get to the point that it is Avengers versus X-Men, like a movie about that, having someone like her, a Civil War type situation, kind of like Black Widow, where you have this person who's, well, with Storm specifically, incredibly powerful, and she's going to be in the middle of this fight saying like, hey guys, please don't fight. I love everybody. Like, I don't want you to do this. Like, I think that would be so memorable, having like a lightning bolt cut down the middle of a line and it's like her just being like, no, stop fighting. I think that'd be so cool. But apparently, Kevin Feige recently said that he's not sure when the X-Men are going to show up. And I don't know if that's just him being vague. He said it'd be like a long time before they do that. I don't know if I believe him. I just don't know. Like after Avengers, I feel like this is the time to be like, all right, what do we have next? Like they probably had an idea of what it was going to be, but when they, Disney acquired Fox, I'm sure they changed some timetables around and we're like, all right, like pull the X-Men and Fantastic Four in. Like,
here's the thing first of all, they're doing that Dark Phoenix bull crap and it's all in the same deal. And it's like, oh, when did this one happen? Well, this also happened before, the Wolverine that knew and when all that happened. So this is like way back when in the 70s or 60s. I don't even frickin' know.
This one's in the 90s.
Oh, great. That whole thing is trash the X-Men for good.
I think
I kind of joke, but to insert the X-Men now into the MCU, one thing that kind of stands in the way or is a wrench in the plan is that, yeah, they're cool. And I think they will get to them one day, but your eyes just got wide as you're looking at me. It freaked me out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're kind of like, get to the point, Joe. And
I heard my dog bark. I promise it wasn't you. I
think they'll get to them one day, but I don't think they're going to be a main feature. They're going to be some sort of like involvement in a bigger plot. Reason being is I just feel like, think about Iron Man, for example. He's not just a human that has like some sort of power. There's like more to him Not only is he the super genius kind of guy, but he's got the cool suit, which everybody loves and wants to have. I think it's more appealing to an audience to, like, what's the word? Envy that, or really want that lifestyle or that armor, etc., that ability.
It's relatable.
Yeah. Whereas mutants is a little more, this is like an oxymoron almost, but plain Jane, because they're not. Obviously, they're mutants and they have crazy cool powers. But as opposed to somebody like Thor or Captain Marvel or Iron Man or even the Hulk, I mean, they all kind of have a different level. You kind of see how other characters like Peter Quill, a little lackluster. I mean, okay, but he's a planet's or a creator's son, half human. Okay, yeah, but still, explain to me why he's so special and cool. Well, it shows. I think nobody runs a theater wearing a Peter Quill shirt unless they're a Chris Pratt stalker, you know. And he's great. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there are other things that are going to catapult them upward and maintain the level of intensity they've been on. So X-Men, maybe. When? Who knows? Like, I agree with you. Maybe he's, withholding more than he knows.
Yeah.
And will it be an X-Men titled film? I feel like no. I feel like they're going to be inserted somehow, and they're going to kind of, oh, well, this happened to this person inside the Black Panther movie or Doctor Strange movie. And what was that? Oh, mutants, huh? I mean, technically Scarlet Witch and the Silver whatever Flash
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver, yeah. Technically they're like a mutant of sorts, right? So I think they're good to accentuate their films. Maybe not so much as X-Men, the actual films. They may get to that point, but I don't think they want to start there.
Yeah, I think you make a good point too with like Dark Phoenix coming out soon, is that maybe Disney is like a little like hesitant where they're like, all right, we're going to let that cool down for a bit and then like introduce our take on it. Because like if you go quickly into it, maybe a lot of people who might not understand how all this works might think like, oh, why didn't you just use Sophie Turner or like James McAvoy or whatever? It's like, no, we're recasting everybody. And people have been asking like, oh, do you think they'll take those characters and they'll just be a multiverse and they'll just bring them in there? I was like, I don't think so. Because off, I was gonna say, you want to save money, right? Like, cast some no names, get them in like a 15 movie deal picture contract, and like don't have to pay like tons of money to get Michael Fassbender to be Magneto. Make him like age appropriate Magneto, right? Like that's what I would think. Levi, what do you think?
Just I don't think they'll jive. They wouldn't jive well with the current MCU.
Yeah,
like the casting was already shoddy to begin with, and I like those characters. I like James McAvoy. I like J Law. I like those characters. I just they didn't really sell me on X-Men.
Sure, they're good actors, but it's not necessarily the best writing.
Yeah,
or best characterization.
The only characters that I feel like were really, really well casted was like Magneto, and I can't think of anybody else that I'm like, yeah, that's a perfect Scott, or that's a perfect Jean Grey, or
that's I hear you, and I think that's you guys make good points. I think that's why they'll wait a bit, but I am excited to see that because I know that if you say whatever you want about the MCU, but their casting, it's just so good. Like it's so hard.
Who plays Storm in X-Men right now?
Right now, right? No, it's not Zendaya. It's a young woman whose name I don't know, but I will look it up. Who do you think it is?
Halle Berry Jr.
Not that. Of course, Halle Berry comes up the first thing. Alexandra Shipp.
Oh, okay.
That's the name. That's her name, I believe. Oh wait, is that? Yes, it is. But relatively not super well known yet. But yeah, I think I really do think that X-Men will be cool. And to be honest with you guys, I don't really want them to be pulled out of the multiverse. I would love it if they had existed or do exist in the MCU.
Start injecting them in. Just
Yeah.
little doses.
And
little doses.
people will be like, "Oh, Jimmy, but like, how do they like? How's nobody know about them?" You really put Charles Xavier on the map right away, and you just say like his reasoning was, "Hey, you know what? I saw all this stuff going down, and I wanted to protect mutants, and so I decided to just use Cerebro and just wipe everybody's mind of it. Like anyone who's ever seen a mutant, I just go into Cerebro. I'm like, nope, you didn't, and it's just like." Just gone away, and like so that way they're in there, and then also you have Magneto actually be Scarlet Witch's father, and it's just like she grew up with an adopted family she never knew about, but he's like, you've always been a mutant, you didn't get your powers from some stone, they might have woken them up, but you've always been powerful. Like, that would be a good way to connect them.
I think you can do that, but I think the approach they're going to take is like the same with this Mysterio. Like now that there is a split world, now they're going to be like, oh, actually, on this other Earth, there are mutants instead of the Avengers. And so they're going to have like a problem. And then like the Avengers are going to have to like travel to that multiverse and help them. And it's going to be a big crossover event. Calling it now.
You're probably right, Levi, because I don't think they would talk about this multiverse thing. I know that like we're hearing it from a villain who usually lies about stuff, but I don't know if they'd put it in the trailer if it weren't legitimate. You know what I'm saying? Because like right now, maybe that's what they want us to do. Like Marvel and Sony have us in the palm of their hands where it's like, oh, we're all just like theorizing about the multiverse. And then it's like, actually, multiverse was a lie. Ha ha ha. Like it could still happen. But at the same time, I don't know if they would actually do that. And I hope
you don't want any part of this.
yeah, exactly. I can see that though. But if it gives us the chance to run into some characters we normally wouldn't have in the regular MCU, I'm okay with it. Like it could be really cool, but you're right, Levi. It's going to be like a Crisis on Infinite Earths things like DC, where it's just like, all right, we got to bring all the Avengers from 10 different Earths together to fight Galactus or something like that. But I don't know. I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful, but I just want the X-Men to be implemented well. And also, I love Hugh Jackman. I really do. And I don't know if we're going to get any Wolverine in Phase 4 or any X-Men in Phase 4. But if we're going to do Wolverine, let's do comic accurate. Let's get him. I want him short, hairy, just talking like bub, like he's just angry all the time, like he's not really like someone you'd approach.
Danny DeVito?
Not Danny DeVito. I wanted him for Detective Pikachu, but I don't know who I'd cast as Wolverine. I think it's tough. I think you just do no names. I seriously, because this article, I don't know if one of you guys sent it to me, but it's been going around right now. Back in 2009, and they're like, Marvel Studios cast no names in Thor, and it's gonna flop huge. Like, I hope they spend more money on the like special effects. So it was like Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth were the people they cast to do that. Who are
Chris
now
Hemsworth was a no name?
He was a virtual no name before
I thought that
Thor.
he had been in like The Notebook or some shit.
I don't think so. No, he's just like they didn't. No, he's
get this. His brother almost got it before him.
Yep,
that's right. Liam. Okay.
I think Liam went to try out for it, and Chris was like, "I'll just go try out with it for you." Also, there's some crazy footage of Tom Hiddleston dressed up as Thor to like trying out for the role of Thor, and they're like, "Nope, you'd be a really good Loki." I'm like,
and he was one of my favorite characters. Him and Thor both. Chris Hemsworth, good on him.
Chris Hemsworth, like I know I give Ragnarok a lot of guff, but I don't want to hold this against the direction or the director or the actors, because I think Chris Hemsworth he's great. I think whatever they task him with doing, he can do it, and I think he's a super humble, nice guy. And as much as I like to separate the art from the artist, when it's somebody good, I'm like, good on ya. Like he's a super nice dude. He defers a lot of compliments to people, and I'm like, you're a humble dude. All right. I hope he's really humble.
I like how he handles his kids too, like holding them up by their ankles. And
does he?
This one's favorite character is Wonder Woman. You were telling me this?
Oh,
right?
I love it. He was talking about like
he eats the most, or he gets most of the food at the table, or something.
He's like, well, one of my sons he loves Thor the most, so he's the best most well fed. I take care of him better, and like people laugh about it, and he's just kind of like, it's like, but I like that he like openly says his kids love Wonder Woman. It's not like Marvel ever goes to them. They're like, hey, never talk about DC movies. Like if your kids or your family loves Batman, don't talk about it. But they clearly don't seem to care. They're probably just like, yeah, man, talk about other superheroes, man. When you're on top like that, you could do whatever you want. I think you just be like, yeah, freaking, we love Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. So good.
I love Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I want to watch that movie again. Dang. But anyway, X-Men, for you guys, I know these guys, they might not come in Phase 4, but they're on their way, right? For you, which one of the X-Men or even the Brotherhood of Mutants do you want to see? If you could just pick one to just get into the next movie you could possibly get into, who would it be? Joe? It's a big question.
Ooh, that is a loaded question.
Any one of them.
Like I said, I'd like them injected in there subtly, like
Yeah.
an introduction, and you keep getting bits and pieces of them until it becomes a main focal point of a movie plot, and it makes them all related and intertwined. That's my hope. How about Juggernaut? Freaking running through buildings and stuff, and some of the Marvel guys have to stop him somehow, some way.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I know they did him recently in Deadpool 2, so they could do. I would love to see the comic accurate one where he's got like it's all the red, but then he's got like the gem of Sidorak or whatever, which gives him powers, and he can like rip open whole like dimensional holes and stuff. Like he can get crazy. Juggernaut's not a bad one though, Joe. Levi, for you, is there any X-Men or bad X-Men that you'd want to see?
I think it would be cool if like we got a villain focused film, like in the MCU, like just come out of left field and be like, we're gonna do an entire film on Green Goblin. Like we're gonna do a whole like phase 1 type Marvel film, formulaic like origin story Green Goblin movie, and just focus on him.
Oh geez, you took that question in a different direction. I was like, he's gonna pick an X-Men character, but no, I applaud that, man. I think
that'd be so cool just to be out of the box and do a villain, kind of like a Venom, but like MCU
like Joker
style gold or Joker.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. That or like a Doctor Doom, like either of those two. So cool. Yes. I would love that if you made the Fantastic Four like the antagonists. That would be so crazy. But I'm told you just said Green Goblin, which is those are some of my trigger words. So I'm like, Green Goblin. Like they need to have him be just like the Lex Luthor of this whole world, like the Lex Luthor and Joker put together of this world. Like he's a jerk in the boardroom, but he's also just causing problems everywhere else. He gets elected to be president or mayor of New York or whatever. Oh my gosh, I wish we could have him trade barbs with Tony Stark. That'd be good. I'm with you though, man. Green Goblin. I've always wanted like the standalone Magneto film, but they've kind of already done that in pieces, and I don't know if we need the whole like it's like Spider-Man in his origin. I don't know if we need to see like young Magneto in World War II and then like brought up through the ages, Nazi hunting movie. I just think you got to nail that Wolverine. You got to get Wolverine in there, and I think he'd be a good one to be put into the next Avengers film somewhere. Like Joe said, kind of building up to it. Would you guys want it to be like Avengers, where they take like 3 or 4 of them and do like separate films and then kind of come together, where it's like you do the Storm movie, you do the Wolverine movie, you do the Cyclops movie, and then you kind of and do the X-Men
like their own Avengers thing?
Like their own little thing.
They'll probably do something like that. That would make buco. But
it could be cool as well. Smaller installments.
I would love to see like Storm, just like the name Storm on a movie. That'd be awesome.
I think after the success, and maybe this is just like a political thought, but it's like after the success of Black Panther and now Captain Marvel, I think that there's no doubt in my mind that a Storm movie by itself could do well, like really well. Like there's not like, everyone would boycott it. It's like, no. That movie would probably do really well. And if you cast the right Storm, who I'd want a little aged up, like, because I want her to be like old enough where it's not like she's a teenager. I want like a fully established one, like at the end of that movie. Yeah, I could see them doing that, but at the same time, I could also see them doing just like, here's X-Men, we're doing the X-Men movie, and then we're going to do the branching one, see which people liked the most, and then, do the Wolverine one, do the Storm one, whatever else. But Levi, I really like your idea of doing the villain one, because in the MCU so far, we have not had a movie about specifically an antagonist or a villain. I guess you could say Infinity War kind of is, but like where that's the name of the movie, where you're like, it's not like they called it like Avengers Thanos. Like, like what? Green Goblin though. Damn. Oh God, I want it so much. I love Green Goblin so much. That'd be cool. And again, like Joe, you said, like he's not a mutant. He's a dude. He's like an evil Tony Stark who has like a super soldier serum that didn't work out super well. Like that's basically all you need to do is just be like, he's always been a competitor for Stark and and beating up on little old Peter Parker. Do we think Harry Osborn's going to get introduced in this next Spider-Man movie, or Norman Osborn?
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
I feel like
does he have any British ties?
Or Dr. Octavius?
I see those are the two big, and besides Venom, but like those are the two big Spidey villains, and I feel like they're just saving on them because they want to use them at the right moment. They're like,
so it's in association with Marvel, right? Marvel's got to be like, you guys, Venom, we need to do that thing.
they gotta Sony. That's the problem, Joe. Sony's so greedy. Like after this movie, I know they talked about like a handshake deal or whatever. They're saying like Spidey could still be used in these movies, like with Marvel. But they had those four. They said the two Avengers movies and the two Spider-Man movies. I just don't want Sony to get greedy and be like, actually, Tom Holland's our Spider-Man. He's coming to our Spider-Verse, and we've got him with now Eddie Brock, Venom, Tom Hardy over here.
No,
Like,
of course they're going to do that, and they need to. Ugh.
but I mean, that would be them cutting off ties with the MCU and being like, nope, it's just these guys now. I just wish, like, if you could get Tom Hardy into the MCU, I'm totally cool with it. Like, I don't care. Just bring him in.
Let's just face it, if they want longevity to the character of Venom and Spider-Man, Tom Holland or not, he needs to stay associated with the MCU or they're done for.
Yeah. Levi, would you be cool with Venom just kind of sneaking into the MCU?
Yeah, they would have to make him a little bit more prettier.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's the special effects.
Tom Hardy is like Tom Hardy just like in Venom, he looks like he needs a shower.
He's a trash panda.
Yeah.
He's a trash panda. He's eating those tater tots. Yeah, I think the banter, like if you got some of those really good Marvel writers to get Venom to talk to like some of these other Avengers, it would just be so funny because just like the unfiltered Venom just being like, I think we should eat all of these people. And then it's just like, wait, did you say that? Or did he say that? And then, Eddie'd be like, I don't stop doing this. And he's like, we should kill them now. Like, it's like, no, stop. He would be a cool Avenger. That's what I'm trying to say. I want more crazy people on the Avengers, like old school Hulk, Wolverine, people who are just like, we're not really sure what they're going to do. Yeah, but Levi, I really
dead to me now.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. But Levi, that is the best idea I've heard for the MCU Phase 4. Even if it isn't Green Goblin, just any villain doing a movie just about them, I think would be very cool.
Well, who do you think would play the Green Goblin?
Oh, we have to pick somebody probably a little bit older.
Who's the guy that played Napoleon Dynamite?
Are you kidding? You are a horrible person. I heard a really good casting idea. Someone was saying that for Doctor Doom, it would be the guy who played Lucius Malfoy from.
Oh my god,
wouldn't he be perfect? Like that's a good one.
Don't ever fucking bring Michael Cera into a goddamn MCU film.
Yeah, I would
fucking lose my shit.
Unless it's Deadpool and he gets to like hurt and harass him for like 2 hours, I'd be cool with that. I don't know. Who would you cast for Norman Osborn? That's so tough. I feel like a Bryan Cranston also could be good if he's not going to be Lex Luthor.
Ooh, yeah.
But could he do the creepy, like, you want someone who's also kind of spry who will actually get in the suit and like go on a glider, like, yeah, like that. Like, you got to have that. Joe, you got any ideas? I'm trying to think of one.
I have to look at a lineup.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
Oh my god, that'd be so jumping boats. He's like, after Mission Impossible Fallout, I was like, I think being a villain's kind of fun. So I decided to slim down a bit. And
Joe has disconnected from the podcast.
Definitely won't be peeking during the editing. But it's like, yeah. No, they wouldn't do that. What if Ben Affleck's like, I would really like to be Norman Osborn? I'd be calling Kevin Feige. I'd find his number. I'd be like, hey,
you can't drink and glide, man. You can't drink and glide.
My God. I'll tell you this, Peter Parker. No, I'm kidding. Ben, I'm sorry. We shouldn't joke about that. He probably has a very hard life. But yeah.
George Clooney could make a good Dr. Osborn.
All right, let's climb out of this rabbit hole. I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion here tonight.
We can all agree Bryan Cranston if he didn't ask everyone to make his own comic book character.
Lou Ferrigno.
My gosh. Robert Downey Jr. No. If Jude Law wasn't already in Captain Marvel.
Actually, yeah.
Dude, I'm sad that they wasted him on that film. Like, he could have made something bigger,
Jude Law.
He's got so much stuff falling in his lap. He doesn't need to be tied down for 10 films.
I just rewatched, and I'll talk about more in Timekillers, but those last two, like the Sherlock Holmes movies, and I think they're making a third one. He's great as Watson. He's my favorite Watson I've ever seen. I'm like, yep, Jude Law. I love Jude. I really like Jude Law. I think he's very good. He's such a talented guy. Anyway, Phase 4. Like we said, really good chance. Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. maybe even Captain Marvel 2, along with potentially another Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know what you call that one, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Stature, or Goliath or whatever. But yeah, and then another Avengers, like Avengers 5 will come up in some form. I wonder if they will do Avengers versus X-Men. It might be a little too soon for that, but that is a crossover fight comic that it's gonna be down the line there. So Phase 4, and for everybody listening, please, that's the hashtag. You can tweet us this week if I forget to say it later on. Hashtag Phase 4, but let us know, like, what do you want to see in Phase 4? Which characters or which ones that we haven't even talked about here that you'd love to just see pop in, like Moon Knight or something like that. That'd be kind of sweet too. All right, gentlemen. Well, guess what? It's time to move into that segment of the show that I like to call, that Levi likes to call, that Joe likes to call
Timekillers.
That is correct. It is time for Timekillers. It's the games we've been playing, the movies we've been watching, the TV shows we've been viewing. Levi, do you want to start us off here, buddy?
Yeah. I'm rewatching Marvel movies. I don't have a lot of time for games right now, but I'm playing FF9. Yeah.
Okay. Which is your favorite Marvel movie you've gone back to, and is there any that have fallen down the list?
I'm watching Thor right now. It's not great. I'm not sold on any of the Asgard stuff or the costumes or anything like that.
First Thor, just Thor.
First Thor, yeah. It's a little chintzy.
A lot of Dutch angles in that movie. A lot of shots from the low angle. It's really weird. And that, by the way, is it Kenneth Branagh? He's the voice of the Asgardian in the beginning of Infinity War. I think we talked about this. He's the guy who calls out the distress signal. He's like, this, Asgard, blah, 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 we're under attack. Yeah, it's fine.
I do like that Jeremy Renner's in it for just a little bit.
Just a hot second. See, like Joe was talking about with X-Men, that's a really good way to tease Hawkeye, because he's in it for a hot moment. He goes for a sniper rifle, and then he's grabs a bow, and you're like, cool. That's fun. All right, nice. Also, like I said, is there any that stand out to you? You said Iron Man 2 isn't that bad.
I haven't got to Age of Ultron yet. So Iron Man 2 is great. I haven't got to any the really meaty ones. To me, Iron Man 1 is probably one of the best out of the first couple. That one and Captain America.
Yeah, those both are lean movies. I feel like the first Iron Man is a lean film.
But you kind of go through a drought. You got to get through Iron Man 2, which isn't bad, but then you got to get through Iron Man 3, Thor 2, and you got to muddle through some ickiness to get to Spider-Man and Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Avengers Ultron and
Did you watch Incredible Hulk?
No, I'm skipping Hulk.
I feel like a lot of people and Joe was talking about this the other day. Yeah, it does not feel like it's part of it, even though it might be one of my favorite interpretations of Hulk, because they have this crazy organ music that plays, and it's he's super sinister and everybody's afraid of him.
There are actually a lot of people that do like that film. Believe it or not.
I don't like Edward Norton in it. I think a lot of people love him as an actor. I just didn't like that portrayal personally, but a lot of people did. So
yeah, and it didn't do bad critically either. It's not a
It's crazy too that it came out a month after Iron Man. They were setting all that stuff up. I was just like, wow, that what a crazy summer to just.
And Iron Man took off, and
You think we'll ever get to a point where Disney's doing so well, where they're every month a new Marvel film comes out, a Marvel film, they're just there's 12 a year, baby, and you're just all right, here we go. That would be probably too much. I'm going to go before you, Joe, because I know you've got some stuff to say. Like I said, I rewatched the Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. I really like those movies. I'm not Guy Ritchie has definitely a style to how he makes films, and there's a lot of quick cuts and editing. But one thing I really enjoy about them is how dangerous it all feels. Everybody has a knife or a hidden gun, and it never feels like there's a lot of safety in it. And I really love that. And I like how they this Sherlock Holmes is obviously modernized, where he's, he's got faults and flaws, and, he's kind of a jerk to a lot of people, but he's hyper intelligent and he's always thinking things through. And there's a lot of just kind of Robert Downey Jr. This happens in Iron Man as well, Iron Man 3, which is a lot of him staring at a room, and he's figuring things out. And I like that. And I like the whole, thinking out how to defeat somebody. They kind of overplay it a little, but I still enjoy it. And Jude Law, I think it's great. I like Moriarty in the second one. It's weird because you watch it back, and the first movie, they've got Mark Strong, who's the bad guy. I think it's Ravenwood or something, but he's not the main bad guy, because Moriarty's in the shadows throughout that whole movie, kind of manipulating things. And I want to see the third one, man. I really like those movies. They're a lot of fun. And I like that turn of the century Britain.
Are they making another one?
They are. And this one came out in
Really?
2011 or something. It's been a long time. I think it's because Downey Jr. has been wrapped up with all this stuff. And he was like, I can't like do other big movies right now. Maybe that's it. Or maybe they had some other issues. I don't know. But I really enjoyed that. I also watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Finally, a lot of people lauded this as being the best comic book movie of last year, maybe of all time. I will say this. I liked the story. I liked the message. I liked a lot of the characters. Some of the stuff didn't work for me. It got a little too wacky for me. And some of the animation, while good, was weird with its frame rate. There was like a lack of fluidity to some of the movements and stuff. And they would kind of once in a while just get like super bright neon colors. And I couldn't tell what was going on sometimes. I'm like, this is a little too much for me. Like, it was just like insane to be like kind of no color and then like all the color. Like, so yeah, it was good. It wasn't as great as people made it out to be. I'm sorry. Like, if you really, really, really love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's okay. A lot of good voice actors, a lot of good performances. I'm not knocking that. It just, for me personally, it went a little too far. It was like, I don't take any of this seriously, especially Spider-Pig. I love John Mulaney, but like, he's a Spider-Pig that's like a literal cartoon, and he does like little cartoon things with a hammer, and I'm just like Joe, you would have hated this. You would have been like, this is stupid. I will say this though. I like Gwen Stacy though as Spider-Woman. She's like got such a cool look. I was like, yeah. So many much Spider-Man. But yeah, so 8 out of 10. People will be like, how dare you? But anyway, that's pretty much all I've been killing time with. Joe, my friend, hit us with it, man. What have you been killing time with? Did you want to give a little review on Avengers Endgame?
I won't get too deep into it because we talked about it a lot. Ultimately, I know you guys probably covered it well. I share a lot of the same views that Jimmy does. There are a couple things that I add in there that I know we talked about. I don't know that we need to publicly go through it all. What would I score it? Because of the history behind it and just the nostalgia in itself, I have to give it like a 9. Do I think it's absolutely... Did I like Infinity War more? You darn bet your right ass I did.
I love
it. Yeah, I just... all the hype on it, I think, is a little much for my taste. I went in there and I thought... I only got goosebumps at 2 moments. When all the people that had dusted away started showing up through the ring portals, I was like, oh, cool. That was great. That end fight seemed pretty cool. There were a couple dud moments in there. The Spider-Man insta-kill moment. Yeah, I loved it. The introduction was weird, man. Like, I liked all of it except for... Thor, I like this one. And boom, they go and she does reconnaissance on his planet that he's living on. And it's just him. There's no one there. Boom, they go down. They restrain him like he's an old grandpa, which at this point he's near death after he destroyed the rings. And they slice his head off. And from there, it's kind of like, I don't know. It gave me a weird vibe. I get it. It makes sense and all, but it gave me a weird vibe. The whole time jumps is a little odd, but it makes sense. Like my question on Spider-Man earlier in the podcast, it's kind of like, oh, so everything aged 5 years except for the people that were poofed out. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things. The whole Thor thing, that's probably numero uno for me. I don't mind if you find them all depressed in some cave in the middle of Norway with his buds, creating a new... where is he from again?
Asgard,
yeah. Creating new Asgard somewhere in the Nordic mountains off of the sea cliffs. Yeah, find him, whatever. Okay, he's sitting in some cottage, drunk out of his mind, and he's depressed. Okay, great. Don't turn him into a blubbering buffoon with a pot belly and dreadlocks because he hasn't showered.
Playing Fortnite.
Playing
God
Fortnite.
damn it.
5 years later, it's the only game people are playing. They're like, I'm still playing Fortnite and yelling at children online about it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Joe. Keep going.
Yeah. Ultimately, and I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Depressed, drunk, whatever. I get all that. Fine. But you turn him into kind of a laughing stock. And they basically took him from what's the movie? Sweater movie. No.
Oh, Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Come on. Ugh. So that was an extreme letdown for me. He goes from swinging Stormbreaker and slamming Thanos in the chest, chopping his head off later, to basically a fat pile that cracks jokes the whole time. Such a cool, badass character, demoted to comedic.
Didn't you get
relief.
some feels? Like, when Scott's looking for his daughter's name in the
Yeah, those were all good moments. I'm only touching on the bad.
No.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's tons of good stuff in this movie, and I could talk for hours on that. But, sometimes a couple bad things outweigh a lot of the good. Unfortunately, I focus on them too much because they bug me too much, and they kind of eat away at you a bit. Yeah, I see you, Jimmy. So Thor is number one for me. I was really mostly looking forward to seeing him and how he would play out in this film. Captain Marvel, I was kind of indifferent. Like, I thought they were just going to tote her as like the she was the BFH, the big F and hammer. She was going to come in and call her a day for everybody.
I've never heard that before. I don't think that's pretty funny.
Yeah. BFH fixes every problem. Anywho, then we get to frickin' Professor Hulk. Oh my God. The only redeeming moment that Hulk gets is that he puts on the fucking gauntlet. Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't you like it when he dabs? No, we don't have to edit this out. This is good. It's for all ages.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants a picture with you. Shut up, stop talking. Get angry, shut up. The only redeeming thing he does in this whole movie, besides help with the time travel thing, is put on the gauntlet. But it's just not what Hulk is to me, and it's kind of lame in my opinion.
He doesn't get his like ending. Like, if they never use him in another MCU movie, like, it's gonna be a bummer because he never got like a proper farewell.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard a lot of people say that like this is the good like ending to his arc. I don't want there to be like an arc, because like an arc means it's over and like this is the status quo now. I don't want that. Like, I want Angry Hulk, and I don't think that's a lot to ask for. Like, personally, it's like his one thing.
Yeah.
One thing.
Remember how we used to talk about how it'd be so cool if there was like an impactful moment that caused him to rage out beyond belief? Even if he was Professor Hulk, I wanted that moment. I wanted him to go batshit crazy and smash shit.
Yep.
I wanted him to make the Hulk in Avengers when he smashes the big worm thing.
Yep.
And I know they have that little nod to that, like, go around and smash stuff. He's like, I'm like, you freaking idiots. I'm like, just shoot that thing now. Put it out of its misery.
Just shoot the Hulk. Just put him down.
Oh, God. Anywho, so those are a couple of the main, both characters. I was amped for. I was like, they need their day. They need to really get redemption. Thor, not as much. I just, I like Thor, and I think he's a cool character. And after the way things worked out in Infinity War, he needed that moment to kind of get some more swings in. And instead, he gets in some more beers and tumbles around the battlefield. Yeah. God, just kind of cringeworthy. Otherwise, the movie is great. ScarJo is Black Widow, and Clint Hawkeye. That moment of them getting the Soul Stone, all that. Oh, I love moments like that. The moment you referred to, Levi, when Scott's looking for his daughter's name and all that. I mean, all that was just good stuff. I like how they kind of, I don't know, a lot of humanity, a lot of emotions. Any moment with Stark in it was amazing. I'll just say that Robert Downey was like on another level for this movie, and it was appropriate given, the way things played out.
Do you like him in the beginning when he's like decrepit and he's like, "Hey Cap, you said we were gonna lose, we're gonna do that together, but we didn't do that together," and he's just like super angry, but he's like so malnourished and stuff. I was like, you're doing such a good job right now. I was like, this is really powerful.
Yeah, I didn't quite. I mean, I guess I get it, but what did Tony expect them to be in the spaceship with him?
No, I think he just said if we ever lost, like we were supposed to lose as a group, but they were kind of separated. And I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, because he was going to call Cap because after Civil War, that was maybe the issue, is that like he was referring back to Civil War, and he's like, we should have been a team before this all went down, but we weren't because we had our fight, and then they kind of split up.
Yeah.
Not saying it's justified, but
either way, it was good and all. There were a couple kind of political moments too I wasn't too fond of. But it was a good movie. It really was. Kind of a cherry on top of my Sunday that's been 10, 11 years worth of 20-some films. So does it kind of bring an end to me? Has it kind of satiated me and kind of put a stop to me wanting more Marvel? No, like I said, I mean, Far From Home, I'm interested. If we get some Venom play in there, I don't know. We'll see what comes up. But it kind of put a cap on a chapter or a bookend on the shelf, so to speak, for me. But yeah, did it live up to the hype? Kinda. I can see why people were over the top about it, over the moon, but me, not quite so much. I walked out of it in a much different mindset than I did for Endgame or Infinity War.
yeah, well, Infinity War is such a cliffhanger. I think it's just like you want to. It's like watching one of the Lord of the Rings movies. You're like, just next, like show me the next one. But this one's like, okay.
I was absolutely appalled that the kid next to me cried during Tony Stark. Major spoiler.
That's okay. I think I'm just gonna put it at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, like spoilers galore. The kid next to me bawled like a baby when Tony was dying, and when they were doing the funeral and stuff. Didn't shed a tear. In fact, was slurping on his icy even harder than before when ScarJo died as Black Widow getting the Soul Stone. Not even a tear, not a sniffle, not a oh. It was just slurping on a slushie.
What a jerk.
That was you?
No, that was a kid next to me.
Little kid next to me.
I'm like, you're heartless.
Yeah.
But when I say when Tony went down, like that kid was blubbering. Like I thought his dad or mom was gonna have to console him. I was like, wow.
I thought I was gonna have to console Jimmy, and I thought Jimmy was gonna have to console me. Like,
yeah, I wish he would have had one last moment with Cap. Like I know that like he needed to see Peter and Pepper and Rhodey and stuff, but it would have been so cool to have a moment where they kind of like looked at each other and said something from the first Avengers or something. Like it did like a hand clasp and then he died. Like that would have been like, I would have lost it. I would have been like, no, like I'm like no.
I thought the ending for Cap was very nice. But
apparently the directors and the writers can't agree on how that actually worked out. So apparently they don't even know over there how that all wrapped up.
Yeah, they're just trying to fan service. Hey, he got his ending he always wanted. Yep. Don't get into the technical details. We don't need to explain that.
I also heard a little something that might kind of a lot of people have been theorizing that the reason Cap can use the hammer is because he told Tony about Winter Soldier killing his parents. Apparently the Russos said that Cap's always been able to pick up Mjolnir, and in Age of Ultron he figures it out. And for them, what they said, for what they thought, is he knew that he could do it, but he knew Thor's pride and he didn't want to be a jerk, so he was like, he moved it a little and he put it back, and he's just like, oh, I tried, and he was just trying to defer.
What do you mean he figured it out?
Like he knew he could pick it up, so like when he went to grab Mjolnir, like it does move just a little, and in his hands he could feel that like if he wanted to, he could have just went like, like pick it up like that, but it would have kind of downplayed Vision, later on, and also it would have kind of made like one of his team members be like, "Aw, like you can wait, what?" Like and that's why Thor, when he says like, "I always knew it," like he like because in that moment, he knew that whole time that he could have.
That was a cool moment. I like that.
I knew it. I was like sitting, like Levi's sitting next to me. I was like this. I was like. It's so beautiful. Like I was like,
yeah. Well, then he wrecked face for about 2 seconds and started getting slapped around again.
Thanos is a big, strong boy. Apparently, he's a big old boy. I was wondering too, Joe. And maybe Levi, you can get this too. I feel like they did kind of put Captain Marvel's movie in between these movies and kind of rushed to put her in the MCU. I wonder if we didn't have her and if she got introduced later, if this movie would feel more, climactic and dire. And then also it would have forced Hulk and Thor to be more of the heavy hitters that they are. Like Hulk wouldn't have gotten sidelined. They're like, no, Hulk, we need you. Like, you're like the guy. Like, you got to show up in this last battle. And like, maybe he would have.
Did she really do anything anyway besides take the ship down?
She took the ship. Well, she took the ship down. That's big. She fought Thanos one-on-one for a hot moment, and then she helped run the gauntlet that last kind of leg of the way with all the ladies.
Yeah.
Which probably should have been Nebula and Gamora running that, but I don't know. Like Captain Marvel, I've had other people tell me this too. They're just like, why did she need help? Like, she just took down a warship like nothing. I was like, she could have killed everybody. Too bad she wasn't around for that battle in Wakanda. She would have just floated over where that little hole is they made and just like, laser beams. Just been like, could have been like, I guess Wakanda's safe. Like,
they do everything possible to just like hush the trump card and shove it back under the bed.
Just that's the problem like we had in Justice League. It's the same thing with Superman. When he shows up in that movie, it's like it's such a dire situation that he shows up and it's Steppenwolf. He's just like bloop, like dunk, 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 like he saves an entire building of people, and it's just like, dang man, I wish you were around shooting.
Speaking of, I know we're running a little long, but Timekillers for me, I saw a trailer for a movie called Brightburn.
Yes, by James Gunn.
Yeah, produced by,
Crazy, huh?
And then what his brother, I forget the name, Michael Gunn or something like that, is involved as well. It looks really cool. A superhero horror film, believe it or not. And not like Venom. Like we're talking legitimate like Halloween time movie. Memorial Day weekend, I believe. And it's essentially, if you're a Smallville fan, it's Smallville turned upside down. Essentially, what if it was somebody who was sent that seemed to be, a hero for the planet, but was exactly the opposite. Yeah.
Do you mind if I read this brief synopsis here for you? By the way, it's Brian and Mark Gunn. And James Gunn must be part of that too. Is there 3 Gunn brothers? Man, that's a lot of guns. But the director, I got Joe on that one. I got him. David Yarofsky is the director.
Yep.
Here is the synopsis. What if a child from another world crash landed on Earth, but instead of becoming a hero to mankind, he proved to be something far more sinister? With Brightburn, the visionary filmmaker of Guardians of the Galaxy and Slither presents a startling, subversive take on a radical new genre. Superhero horror. Dang. Superhero horror is, I mean, kind of Venom wants to be that, but
it's not.
I'm not against it. This is just the next step towards the some of the creepier stuff that, these comic book people can do, and closer to the Squadron Supreme, which is like an evil Superman. So let's do it. Give me that Hyperion. Joe, I want to see this movie, and the budget, $7 million. So if it does like anywhere well enough, like that's the thing, is because superheroes are so hot right now and horror movies are kind of like a genre that they make a billion of them and they're just like on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
If you can do that with a horror movie and make, if they make 14 million on this or 20 million on this, like that's going to be a huge, like it's already going to be like that's successful. And then all the horror movie people will be like, all right, superhero horror, let's do it. Like, like
if you watch the actual trailer, it actually seems pretty legit, pretty cool. But it doesn't show low budget whatsoever.
Yeah, not a bad cast either. Some no-name or some lesser-known people, but some people we do know. Yeah, I think it looks interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing it. You said it's, May 24th, so coming up here.
Memorial Day weekend. So,
nice.
All I saw was Smallville horror, and I was in. So, it seems like it'll be, somewhat graphic.
Yeah. I would also imagine there's going to be. I wonder if there's going to be any type of bully situation where he's just like, you know what? If you bully me, I'm just going to rip you. Okay, just rip him in
Yeah,
half.
watch the trailer. It's
Oh, I think you made me watch it. It is very Superman-y. Yeah, but
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Cool.
I don't know if it's an actual like historic character from some sort of dark comic book or something.
I don't think so.
But
maybe.
I'm gonna look into it some more. Be prepared to talk about it one day, someday soon.
Well, we can do a review on it. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Otherwise, for me, it's been nothing but Blackout, baby, and new update today.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
We'll just wrap it up here quick with community feedback and questions. And the only thing I just kind of asked everybody, like, in the Discord and stuff, what they were kind of hoping for in Phase 4. This comes in from Fragedin. This is pretty good. He says, well, I'm going to stick to my suggestion I said in the stream, but the introduction to the multiverse will be the key component Marvel uses to reintroduce us to their version of X-Men, Fantastic Four, etc., which I thought was pretty cool. And then he went into this whole thing about, for a while there, Tom Cruise was going to be Tony Stark. Emily Blunt was going to be Black Widow. Jason Momoa was going to be Drax, which I don't completely hate that casting. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt was supposed to be Peter Quill. I don't hate all of those. And the thing is, they could still do that. They could bring in alternate
They'll
versions.
find other ways to get into the MCU.
They could. I'm just saying that at this point, if they aren't going to be a new character, they could be just that same character. They just pull over from another one. Like if Joseph Gordon-Levitt fights with Chris Pratt about who's the real Peter Quill or Star-Lord, I wouldn't be opposed. I'd be like, that's pretty good. A lot of good-looking guys fighting about stuff. Nothing wrong with that.
Do you see they're bringing Nancy Drew to the CW?
Oh no, CW's just like,
and that's where I leave.
Yep, Levi disconnects right there. Anyway, if you have a question,
what about the Hardy Boys?
Or a topic for the Boxcar Children.
Our children.
Yes. You got him. If you have a question or a topic for the show, and it probably won't be Marvel next week. Who knows, though? All you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to any of us on Twitter. You can do it to me at GoCritical or at JimmyGoods013. If you want to tweet at Joe, you can tweet at Lever_627. And if you want to tweet at Levi, you can tweet at Levi Fletcher. What was that?
Levi Fletcher.
Well, you went bam, and I didn't know what you were doing. I was gonna stop. I was like, I'll just.
You get extra points if you tweet at us, Boxcar Children.
If you tweeted us, Boxcar Children or Phase 4, hashtag Boxcar Children, or hashtag Phase 4, we will love you. I know Ryan does it, and I think he's like the only person who does it. But if anyone else does it, that would be great. We usually pitch a bunch of things here on the show. I'm not going to do that this week. Support us by just sharing us with a friend. That's all I want you to do. You're probably seeing stuff up here from like the other people who make the show possible, the Spreadshirt, the Patreon, all that stuff. But seriously, just share us around. That would be great. Doesn't cost you anything for a retweet or a Facebook thing. Just a second of your time, or maybe a couple more than that. Because sometimes you have to copy the link and do all that stuff. But that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Thanks to everybody who's been watching and stuff. We really do appreciate it. I hope you guys like this show. And if you have any things you want to see change or, like I said, topics, please never hesitate to write into us, because if you write into us, there's a really good chance we'll probably just take your idea and make it a main topic and talk about it for 45 minutes, which is totally fine, because apparently we're going to do a whole episode on Brightburn here. So which that would be fun to. I do want to see it. It's only an hour and a half. Look at that. It's a brisk pace after Infinity or Endgame.
Endgame. What did you think about the 3-hour runtime? Love it or meh?
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it went fast for me, but I think there's stuff I would cut, honestly.
I've seen it twice now, and I think it went pretty fast.
Okay.
Well, this, just like every movie ever, there's a little bit of...
Sure. There was maybe one or two things they could have cut, Jimmy. I know we talked about examples, but the 3-hour runtime for a movie of that style had to be.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, there's just more. I'm like, the support scene with Captain America, I thought was kind of like, I was like, it's kind of a waste of time. And you'd think there'd be more people than 5 people hanging out with Captain America in a support group. But like, at the same time, I'm like, hey, it's more Captain America. So is there really something I can play?
People are like pissed off about that, because that's like the introduction of like the first gay character in the MCU.
Could have gotten a gay actor. They could have gotten an actual gay actor.
People are mad. Like, they're like, that was a fucking botched way to...
It is kind of weird, because he's like, I lost my husband, but I went on a date with this guy, and it's just kind of like, and he's the director.
I guess I didn't even know that. I've seen it twice, and I didn't catch that either time I saw that. I was just like, oh, they're just talking about family. And
see, and Levi, like for you, would, like you said, like you didn't care, you didn't notice. So I think a lot of other people are just kind of like looking for things to pick apart. They're like, that thing right there, like I don't like that thing. It's like, who cares, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still waiting for Nova, who is I think one of their most like a very powerful character and is one of their like one of the first openly gay characters or superheroes in that world. And when they do the Nova standalone film, I want to call it out right here. We're going to see the decimation of Xandar by Thanos, the thing we haven't seen yet. Before Thanos had any stones, he blew up a planet of those Nova Corps. Gwyneth Paltrow, Glenn Close died probably at the hands of Thanos. I want to see that. That's how you open up the Nova movie. You're welcome. You're welcome, Marvel. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. Appreciate you guys, Levi and Joe, for being here. It's nice to have a full panel. And yes, until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. We'll see you next time. Bye.